beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, rams, hogs, dogs, chicken, turkeys, rabbit, you name it. Look. I got beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, rams, hogs, dogs, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkeys, rabbit, you name it. Beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, rams, hogs, dogs, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkeys, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, rams, hogs, dogs, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkeys, rabbit, you name it. Beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, beans, greens, potatoes, greens, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkeys, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkeys. You name it. You name it. You name it. You name it.
I'm in my zone, on the road to the Super Bowl. Every game on the schedule crucial, it take a toll. It don't matter if we at home or on the road. You try to tackle, I'll truck a sucker and take it so. I'm staring at 4th and goal, gotta find an open hole. A linebacker just close a hole where I'm supposed to go. So now I'm thinking my centers are all pro, so I trust he can make a walk for wherever the ball go. Yeah, there's 5 seconds on the play clock. The crowd was loud, but they stopped. Now it's silent while they watch. They stand off in the red zone. All I see is red home.
Welcome in, Cowboys Nation, the Cowboy Game Day Live Thanksgiving edition. It's your boy Skywalker, still Jesse, Holley, and I already know, bro. Did you hit him with the Holy Trinity?
You got to have a Holy Trinity, baby. I had it last.
I knew it, bro. I knew it.
You know it. I know it, man. They got to be on that fork together. The greens, the macaroni and cheese, and the candy yams. Ooh.
Yeah, I was thinking. I think we did this last year. Probably do it every year, man. I was thinking about my favorite sides, and I always want to ask you guys your favorite sides. The candy yams is definitely up there for me. My mom's mac and cheese. My mom's baked mac and cheese. And deviled eggs. Those are some of my favorite sides on Thanksgiving, man. I can eat that all day. All day.
You better be a little bit lower in your voice when you say my mom's, because you don't want that.
Let me whisper that real quick.
Yeah. I'm about to say you don't want that to be like we go. Listen, we
be taken wrong.
We in that pregame. Like I was walking by the studio and I heard you say.
I heard what you said.
Mom, I heard what you said. I was watching. I heard what you said. So what you mean?
What you mean by that? Right?
What you mean by that? Because I made some. So what you mean? Now you're gonna have to sit the whole time like this.
No. See, one thing that she loves about me is that I keep it a bean when it comes to her food. So like if something ain't right, hey, they got a little bit too much twang on her. There ain't enough twang on it. I let her know. But sometimes you do gotta lie. When it comes to certain things, in the marriages, you gotta lie. Just keep it a bean. That's what I'm saying, man. But what's up with y'all, Cowboys Nation? Happy Thanksgiving from me and Jesse. I hope everybody's having a good one, a blessed one. I always say, Jesse, you better eat up now because when the Cowboys get to going, sometimes they can take away your appetite. I know we always talk about this every week or every year, but this year, Jesse, whatever. Right. I feel like this is the most stress-free Thanksgiving Day game since like 2020 for the Cowboys, man.
I laugh, and today you and I aren't together today because of the holiday. But you say that,
yeah.
And let the Giants get out and get the whooping on the Cowboys early on. You're gonna be pissed. You're gonna be hot if they get out. You be like, dude. Sorry,
you know me. So
I've been around you long enough to know. You go, stress free, no expectations. But if the Giants jump out the gate and jump up on the Cowboys, you're gonna be a little tight. You're gonna be a little tight over there.
The fan in me comes out, and a lot of fans, boy, it's crazy what a win does, don't it? Oh, it changed everything. I didn't expect it to go this far, Jesse. I thought the Cowboys got a dub. Everybody feel a little better because it sucks. Even as a person that covers the team or as a fan, it does suck to go on a 5. I don't care if you're looking for the number 1 pick. Going on a 5, 6, 7, 8 game losing streak absolutely is terrible feeling. So to get one, especially against your division rival, you feel good about it. But now They're starting to use that P word, Jesse. Yeah. And I ain't talking about potential. And I ain't talking about what a lot of y'all probably going to get at the end of this game. I'm talking about playoffs, Jesse. Playoffs. And I'm like, wait a minute now. Let's just slow down a little bit here. But hey, Cowboys Nation, they're feeling good, and I can't be mad at them.
No, and and we talk about it, and I make jokes about it when I talk about Jerry selling the hopium and getting fans to believe, and sometimes the delusion of fans, and not just the Cowboy fans, but just fans in general. But you saw I felt the same thing this week. The callers were different, the text was different, and listen, we are in the content creating space, and when you have to cover a team like. It gets, especially a team that you really root for, it almost gets troublesome to have to keep showing up every single day, and there's only bad things to talk about because it's almost 2 months since you had a last victory, and some of those some of those losses have been absolute dog walkings. So I get it. I'm like, oof, we got a victory. Okay. All right. This gives us at least a couple of days on the short week to get some good content in. Good stories are being put out there for guys like, Wanye Thomas and guys like Josh Butler, and you get to hear those stories and have a feel-good moment. But boy, folks is like, oh, we about to run off 7 straight, and we run off 7 straight. We might be a wild card team, and I'm like, did we just erase what just happened the last 2 months?
Forget
insane.
The 2 months, Jesse. 3 for about 3.5 quarters.
Yeah.
It wasn't like there was a great game. It was 10-9. The only reason why you got 13 was because you did force a fumble. Shouts out to the defense, which we'll get to in a little bit later in the show. But it was, I said this all week. I can't erase, like you said, the other 2 months, but I couldn't erase the other 40 minutes of the game either. But with that said,
it was 13-9. With 5 minutes and 20 seconds left to go in the fourth quarter. And the game ended up 34-26.
They scored the second most points in the Super Bowl era in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. 3 minutes and 31 seconds, they scored the second most points, I think it was, in the Super Bowl era. So it had a fantastic finish, and to be honest with you, if we get a part 2 today, I'm not going to be mad. I am rooting for an entertaining game, and obviously, look, I don't like to see my boys lose. I know a lot of people want them to, but it's Thanksgiving. It's the Giants. They have no business losing to this team who's about to play their quarterback 2, 3. Who knows what it is with the whole situation with the Giants. But it's a special game for the Cowboys because they, like the Detroit Lions, they are honored to have this game and host this game every single year. And you've had the honor of being a part of it 3 times in your career. And, as I'm setting this up, I hate to do this to you, but you're 2-1 as a Cowboy on Thanksgiving.
Winning record, baby.
Winning record. But I'm sorry, Jesse. I don't give a damn about them 2 other wins. It's the loss that sticks with me, Jesse. Can you talk about that Saints game, 2009 or 2010? I'm sorry.
10. It should have been. My record should be 3-0.
Should be 3-0.
It really should. It really should be 3-0. And not only should it be 3-0. But I should be able to go into my attic or my little storage unit thing, and I should be able to pull out a NFL Special Teams Player of the Week award football.
You had a hell of a game that game.
I had a hell of a game that game. Made Reggie Bush fumble in that game. Yep. Like it was a damn good game. But that damn Roy E. Williams and his lackadaisical self, and that's my boy. That is my boy. That's my boy. That is my boy. But here's what was interesting about that game. If you go back and you remember anything about the Roy Williams, Tony Romo era, there was never Roy Williams was traded over to the Cowboys from the Detroit Lions, and he was in that Mike Marks offense in Detroit, and that's where he thrived at, right? He thrived in that offense. But when he got here, we were under the Jason Garrett offense, where Mike Marks ran an offense that was more kept Roy on the move, right? A lot of his routes, he's consistently moving slants and speed ends, and he didn't have to run a lot of curls and hitches and stuff like that. That wasn't in his repertoire. Well, Jason Garrett didn't change what he was calling, and so he and Romo never really had a good chemistry. And you reminded me of John Kitna was the quarterback of that game, who also came
from Detroit.
From Detroit. And so they were kind of excited about them two getting together this week because JK knew the kind of balls to throw to Roy, knew when to throw it to him, how to throw it to him. And finally, we had it what we wanted. We got the slant. And there was really no better slant runners than Roy. Like, he was really, really, really good slant runner. And he caught one man, and he thought he was to the house. And he's running down the field. I remember it so vividly. He's running down the field, but he's looking one way. And the whole time, I think it was this, was it the safety?
It was Malcolm Jenkins.
Yes. And the safety, Malcolm Jenkins is like running him down, and Roy never sees him. He never sees him to the last minute. He punches the ball out. Roy fumbles, and we ended up losing that game. It was a tough game to lose because we were playing actually pretty good. If I can remember that game, I knew I was playing good that game, and I wanted. I
53 brands.
Yeah. I can say that now. And that game sticks out because everyone's screaming on the sideline. Like, we're all screaming at him to we're like,
yo,
wolf, 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 wolf. And he never sees them and strip, fumble.
Yeah, that sticks out to me. I know exactly where I was at. I was with my boys. We already did some of the Thanksgiving stuff with our fam. We ended up going to, I think, his pop's house. We were watching a little bit of it, and all you heard just a whole bunch of that. I was over. I mean, Roy had got traded a year before. He really wasn't doing much. Up until that point, he still wasn't doing much. And then when that happened, I was finito, done with him. I'm like, man, let's move on, because at that point in time, I was just like the Cowboy fans are right now. I thought John Kitna was finna lead us to the playoffs, dog. Yeah. We went on a nice little run. I think we're 5-3. That was when Jason Garrett took over, and it could have easily been 6-2 if they won that. If you guys won that game right there, and for some odd reason, I think they were still battling towards the end of that year for a playoff spot. But then it got away from them. But man, that game stuck out the most to me because I really thought, we was gonna hold it down with Tony Romo out, and then all hell broke loose with Roy Williams fumbling that ball. But it's still, at the end of the day, a privilege to be a part of that, I imagine.
No, absolutely. It's so fun because it's like, not only are you one of the only 3 games on TV, but you're kind of like that midday game. Like, you're that. Like, there is a primetime game, but I don't know if everybody really locked into the primetime. Some people go shopping afterwards. Some people go to the movies after Thanksgiving dinner, stuff like that. They get outside, they do different things. Sometimes the early games, folks are still traveling and cooking. And if you're from where I'm from, in Jersey, there's actual high school football games that are being played on Thanksgiving. So the noon games, a lot of times you don't really get the real audience, but that 3:30 game, that 4:30 East Coast game, most tables are set.
That's prime time for real.
That's prime time for Thanksgiving. So that everyone's watching, everyone's locked in. They on their first plate. A drunk uncle then came in. Your cousin then came back from that walk around the corner.
Walk, baby. I know.
That walk around the corner. So everybody really locked in, and so you got the world watching you playing on Thanksgiving. So it's pretty sweet to be a part of that. Hey, 3 times, that's pretty cool.
That is an absolute fact. The Cowboys last year versus the Giants Thanksgiving was the most watched regular season game of all time, if I'm not mistaken. You can fact check me on that, but I think I heard that the other day, and they probably brought it up last year during the week when it happened. But think about that, the middle game, against a bad Giants team at that time, most watched. I don't know if this is going to be the most watched, but it would not shock me if it finishes in the top 10 this year, just because it is the Cowboys. It is Thanksgiving. It's at that perfect primetime spot where everybody's gathered around. And let's be real. Half the nation likes the Cowboys or loves the Cowboys. Half of them hate the Cowboys. So that's why you get such a high rating, because they want to watch the Cowboys lose. Right. So we'll see if that happens. I'll be shocked. We're about to go over it here right now. I feel like the Giants football team is pretty bad. I know we're bad. The Cowboys are the 3rd worst team in the NFC right now. The Giants are the worst. Or tied for the worst team in the NFC. So I don't foresee this thing getting to that point where the Cowboys lose, but they will be without a couple of their players once again, Jesse. A couple primetime guys. Zach Martin, let's go over this inactive list real quick. Zach Martin is out. Once again, Marshawn Nealon who I thought they were just kind of monitoring his knee throughout the week. Maybe it kind of flared up. Maybe there was some discomfort. We'll hear about this, I'd imagine, after the game. But Marshawn Kneeland is inactive with the knee.
And let me just say a little quick thing on that is that we also have to remember, this is a short week, right? So sometimes not having that full week to maybe drain the knee, flush the knee, kind of get the knee to proper rest. When you're going from Sunday, then playing right back again on Thursday, that sometimes needing those extra 2 or 3 days are the difference makers of some of these guys being able to go and not go.
Yeah, that almost was the same case for Eric Kendricks, a veteran who's been dealing with a whole lot. He didn't practice most of the week, but he is active today. We'll see how long he can go, because I believe he was one of the vets that were saying, these quick turnarounds are tough. On the
3 games in 10 days.
That's tough. Jake Ferguson continues to be out with the concussion. Deuce Vaughn, Andrew Booth, and Ryan Flournoy are all healthy inactives, healthy scratches today. And Andrew Booth one was a little surprising, because they did bring him up from the practice squad, because Trayvon Diggs is also out, and we found out it is a groin that he's trying to, I guess, fight through. He tried to practice in a limited fashion Monday, did not practice Tuesday, Wednesday, and here we are game day. He's inactive for the second week in a row. It's a groin. We're still gathering more information on that. I really don't know what else to say here, Jesse, because I can't speak for, I don't know how bad it is. I just know that a guy like Zach was literally out there trying, fighting through a lot of things. You see what's happening with Kendrick. You see what's happening with Jay Lou, who's fighting through a neck, and a lot of these other guys. I hope it's, I just hope it's to the point where he really cannot give it a go. And this isn't one of those things where he's checked out. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, like we talked about this a little bit last week, and I'll just say the buzz around the building is not one of a pleasant buzz about Trayvon and this particular injury. Now, I'm not trying to put no smut on anybody's name, but I'm just telling you the buzz that's coming from the building about it. And some of the talk is that it may not be a guy who's willing to, Well,
that's how you know Jesse 40. That man said smut.
Yeah, I don't want to put no, you know what I'm saying?
that's that 40 plus from Jersey, right? East Coast, right? What? I'm sorry,
I don't want to put no dirt on nobody's name.
I don't want to sully and denigrate nobody's name.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying the buzz around the building is not
I don't like that, man.
Of joy.
I don't like that one. But what I do like, Josh Butler gets another shot here, right? To add to his story, because I was unaware of Josh Butler's story, and that's my bad. I should have known his story. It's an amazing story, overcoming death and family and whatnot, and getting to where he is. I think he was on one of the TV shows, All American TV shows, and having a breakout game last week, and that was against a quality offense with some quality guys out there. They'll be down to their second or third quarterback today, so we'll see if Josh Butler can carry over that momentum this week.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool to have these moments, and we hit on it a little bit last week in the post-game show, and we've all talked about it all week long, but it's pretty cool to have these moments. I, for one, am a person who enjoys a good story and understands, as the young kids say, getting it out the mud. Yeah. And to have this never say die spirit and mentality in a guy like Josh Butler, who's overcome so much week in and week out. Like, these are the type of dudes that, you want on your football team. Not necessarily that he's going to come up and be a star, but you just want a guy who each and every day he's going to come to work with a level of appreciation. Yeah. Right? He's going to come to work, and he's going to be one of those guys, even if he's on the practice squad, is going to give you the absolute best look that you're going to get all week long, because he understands, dog, I could be over here doing something else. Like, I could be out of the league. You know what I mean? And that resonates with me, because that was me, and I'm like, though, it could be me coming to work every single day and just being on the practice squad, or me going to work security. You know what I'm saying? Josh Butler said, no, it could be me coming to work every single day on the practice squad. By the way, making really good money on the practice squad. Like, don't people try to like, oh, you're just a practice squad. those dudes is clearing somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000 a week on the practice squad. Like, pump your brakes a little bit. Those jokers ain't making pennies on the practice
That's
squad.
enough to live very comfortably if you know what the hell you're doing.
Very comfortably.
And then most of them living out of hotels anyway. The Omni.
You know what I'm saying? You live right out of there. And
For
then on
free.
top of that, you're one play away from this being the Josh Butler and that going from, $10,000 a week to $40,000, $45,000 a week. So, just being around that situation, man, and just seeing the level of perseverance and never say quit, never say die type attitude. And then you see him go out in the field. You see a guy, like, you can watch his play and see the energy, and it's like, oh, this dude is really, really, really appreciative of being out there in the field. Like, he enjoys this moment because he knows what it's like to have them be trying to make a team in other countries, in Mexico, trying to make the Michigan Panthers in the USFL. So to be in the spot that he's in now, you cheer for guys like that. And I hope that he goes out there today and continues the story. I hope it wasn't a one-off where he comes out today and gets cooked. I hope he goes out here today and competes and does well and makes some plays and help this team get a victory.
Man, he popped off on film from a physical standpoint more than I've seen a corner in a long time. I mean, Jay Lou is a guy that plays that physical way too, but I'm from a boundary, and then Bland plays physical too. Like I've seen Bland be very physical, but it was the way Butler finished his tackles. It was whether if you caught a ball that was a screen, he was hitting you and he was finishing. Whether you caught a nice 12-yard gain, he was hitting you and he was finishing. He was extremely physical, and I'm like, okay, that is something that you can build off. Now, like you said, let's stack it, and for me, I'm in an evaluation process for the rest of the season. See what guys you can get back on this team next year, whether it be at the bottom of the roster or what have you. You're going to be around 30 some free agents anyway, so you're going to have to bring back a few of these dudes. Who's to say maybe a guy like him can't play his way to compete to be a part of a rotation at the cornerback room next year, or at the very least to round it out, right? So I'm excited to see Josh Butler get a second chance here. Alongside, it'll be Deron Bland again, who they worked back in a little bit, not a little bit, a lot of it. He got a lot more snaps than I thought, and I thought he looked good.
No, I did too. I thought he looked, he made some plays, looked like he wasn't lost out there, looked like he still had some of his good reaction time. So same thing. Let's just keep stacking and keep stacking. I think he has a big assignment this week. I don't know how they're going to decide to do this, but if I'm coaching the defense today, I would much rather have Deron Bland on Malik Neighbors.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Well then, much rather him out there than anyone else.
100%. For those who may have missed it, Marshawn Nealon, Zach Martin, Jake Ferguson, Deuce Vaughn, Andrew Booth, Ryan Flournoy, Trayvon Diggs are the inactives for the Cowboys. You will see Brandon Cooks return today. Eric Kendricks suits up, and there you have it. Those for those that are inactive. And speaking of Brandon Cooks, let's before we get back to the defense a little later, let's talk about this Cowboys offense, who will be welcoming him back. And when you look at this Giants team, it always starts up front with me. I thought they put together a pretty damn good front with Dexter Lawrence, one of, if not the best defensive tackle in the game right now. That's probably not being talked about enough. Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau. That's always going to be a tough matchup for the Cowboys as long as those guys are together. They are going to be without Ojulari, but that still is a formidable front they'll have to deal with. So I think when you go back and you watch this game, that matchup, Cowboys O-line against that D-line, is going to be some of the best film to watch coming out of it, in my opinion.
No, and also I want to add into that, 3-time Super Bowl champion, 6-time Pro Bowler Nate Newton brought something to my attention earlier this week, and he said, when he was watching the Buccaneers game, and he said, I want you to go back and I want you to watch Dexter Lawrence. And he's like, yeah, he's getting pushed on that offensive line, on the offensive line. He says, but he's so engaged in this battle of arguments with the offensive line that he's missing things. He's missing tackles. He's missing running backs running by him. And I thought to myself, and he said this, and he said, this would be a great day for Brock Hoffman. This would be a great day for Brock Hoffman, who's that guy, who's that chippy, gritty, wants to get into a fight. He's like, because you're just not going to be able, you don't have the guys out there that's going to be able to just stop Dexter Lawrence, right? Like he's the number 2 rated defensive lineman in the league behind Myles Garrett right now, right? And so you're not going to be able to stop him. He said, but if you can get his intention, if you can get his attention diverted into wanting to fight you instead of playing football, you may get him to miss opportunities for tackles for losses, for sacks, for stuff like that. So I was like, that would be a great situation where, because like Brock Hoffman is the guy who comes into this offensive line and he has the nastiness.
He has that nasty,
he has the outward nastiness, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like, sometimes Tyler Smith is nasty, but he's almost like a quiet nasty. Like Brock Hoffman is the kind of guy, like he's nasty and he'll call your mother a name. You know what I'm saying? Like he's that type of nasty. And if you can get into a guy's head like Dexter Lawrence and just get him off kilter a little bit, that helps you at times in this football game.
Well, it looks like, and we'll see. This comes from Tommy Yarish, who works with you at .com. Today's starting offensive line in warmups was Tyler Guyton, Tyler Smith, Cooper Beebe, Terrence Steele, and Brock Hoffman.
Let's go.
Hell of an insight, though, man. That's why I'm glad. I love how you set that up. 3-time Super Bowl champ, 6-time All-Pro or Pro Bowl.
I want to put the credibility out there from an offensive lineman. You know
but that's why, though, because he noticed those little things like that, because he knows what it takes in the trenches, man. And if Brock can get in his head a little bit, maybe you can have some success in dealing with them. He gave Cooper Beebe some trouble last game if you go back and watch. But rookie, right? Beebe's a rookie. He's going to fight and win a few battles, but Dexter's going to win probably a lot of those battles. But that's why you help him. And Dexter Lawrence was the most doubled he had ever been in his career in that last game against the Cowboys, and I don't expect that to change. I feel like they will give him help, especially with Brock Hoffman next to Cooper Beebe and not Zach Martin next to Cooper Beebe, a healthier Zach Martin earlier in the season. So I expect Brock Hoffman and Dexter Lawrence to get into some spats for sure, especially when Brock going to see Cooper Beebe over there, maybe struggling a bit. And next thing you know, bow, he going to give him one to the ribs or one to the head or something, and he's going to get into it for sure.
And I'm going to be honest with you. Like, this is one of those times where a coach, Mike Solari goes to Mike McCarthy and go, listen, I got to get to this guy some kind of way. And you tell a guy like, and I've been a part of a team like this where coach goes, hey, first one's on me. Go a little bit longer beyond the whistle. If you get a flag, the first one's on me, right? Like, because there are times when you can say, if we can get in this guy's head, if we can get him wanting to fight you and not play football against you, then we win. And so what? If he takes you and drives you somewhere, if he takes you and drive you all the way to their sideline, but the ball's going towards our sideline, you got to deal with a little embarrassment, but it's a win for us.
Yes.
And so you have moments in those games where a coach goes, hey, this dude's a hothead. Let's get in this guy's head. Let's get this guy out of control. First one's on me. But just make sure you're finishing. He'll say finish, right? Make sure you're finishing everything with an emphasis on finish. Go beyond the whistle. Drive him into the ground. Be a little bit of chippy. Be a little bit dirty. You know what I'm saying? When you're getting up, push into his helmet or whatever it is. Like those type of things. If you can get a player like that to be a little bit wayward of themselves and a little bit out of control because they want more to kick your butt than to play football, you can sometimes win those battles.
Well, if they do win that battle up front, the Cowboys are getting an extra weapon back this week in Brandon Cooks, who's missed. He hasn't played since the Giants. It's been a long time for Brandon Cooks, and I personally think his kind of spark has been missed from this offense. Granted, he wasn't being used as a spark. He's kind of been used to run down the field, turn around, and hitches and comebacks, and I don't think he was technically being used in the way he needed to be. Now, maybe that's because the knee was bothering him. He got it scoped, got infected, and he had been out since. He was itching to get back last week, said he was good to go. They said, nope, we'll give you one more week. And here he is now back. Rookie 6th-round pick Ryan Flournoy is inactive. So now you get a veteran guy in there added to a CD Lamb, added to a Cavante Turpin, who is, 2 weeks in a row. We'll see if he can make it 3. You're starting to get a little bit more juice. Can Cooper Rush, if they block it up front, can Cooper Rush really attack them through the air this week, Jesse?
We don't know, right? We don't know. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I said this on a couple of my shows this week. I would prefer, and this might be wishful thinking because we've said this before, and sometimes it never happens. But I thought the game plan that they brought to town last week against Washington, I called it the wire, right? I called it the wire. I called it the nickel and dime, right? Like go outside, flood the block with nickel and dimes. You know what I'm saying? And the short game, I think the short game, what that does, it helps your offensive line. right? That you're not holding the ball that long. You're not trying to read and sift through defenses. You're not getting the holding calls. You're not getting the sacks. What you're doing is, though, you're staying ahead of the sticks. You're getting the ball out at 2.4, 2.5 seconds, at a time.
Yep.
And then you're just letting those guys matriculate down the football field. I don't think that's a bad strategy, because Cooper Rush doesn't have a strong arm.
He doesn't.
Like and you can, like, those balls are coming out wobbly like that because he's trying to throw the ball like a pitcher. He's trying to throw it with so much emphasis that it's tailing off and it's having that little wobbliness to it. That's why he's missing sometimes, guys coming through a zone or anticipation, because he just doesn't have a really strong arm. So for me, if I can just get throws right now to Brevin Spann-Ford, if I can get the quick throws outside the CeeDee Lamb and now Brandon Cooks, I think that's a game plan. And of course, in addition to running the football with Rico at a high clip, right? Like, don't go back to giving Rico the ball 8 or 10 times. Like, I don't want to see at the end of the game that Rico has the ball 10 times. Like, he should at least be 15. Up there. He should be up there in that between that 15 and 20, 22 carries at the end of this game. But I like the game plan that they had offensively. It kept them in a good rhythm because they were able to move the ball a lot of times up and down the field a little bit. Now they get into the red zone, all of a sudden they forget how to play football. But it was much more. If you look at all the games that Cooper Rush has played this year, that game was the smoothest of the game.
Oh, 100%. Most efficient.
Most efficient. So I bring that back. Bring that back and allow those guys to just make the plays when they make them, right? Don't force the playmaking into it, because that's when you get yourself into trouble. But just allow those guys with the quick throws to make the plays and have the juice that way.
That's a fair point, and we often talk about packing up that game plan, bringing it back to Dallas, or packing it up and taking it on the road. Excuse me.
Yeah, usually the Mike's bag get lost in TSA.
Yeah.
We say, hey, bring the Goyard, bring the Louis, bring the Gucci, bring the Poochie, bring all that, and then you come through TSA and they give you the trash bag. That's what you bring to the stadium. Don't do that. Don't do that. Bring that bag that you had last week to the game.
And a part of that bag was using both tight ends and Brevin Spann-Ford and Luke Schoonmaker in that short area, and Spann-Ford and Schoonmaker really got some plays up the field. Well, and I brought up this play when I did my film breakdown. They kind of spammed that pitch to Rico, and I loved it because it was dribbling with a purpose. It's a basketball term I'm sure your coach has said to you many a times growing up, is dribble with a purpose. For those who don't know what that means, I don't care if you can do all the AI stuff. If you stand in the same point, the defense can still play defense on you, right? The defender can still play defense. Make every dribble count, whether it's dribbling to get a guy to commit so you can get a cutback, whether it's dribbling to open up the backside or whatever it may be. If Mike is setting things up, he usually has a counter or a power punch to follow it, right? He did that. They faked the pitch, got 3 different defenders to flow with it. Brevin Spann-Ford wide open up the seam, right? Later in that game, they used CeeDee Lamb as a decoy. The safety bites over, wide open Luke Schoonmaker. The second or third play of the game, play action, Luke Schoonmaker wide open right in front of Cooper Rush, gets upfield for 24 yards. Easy buttons to these tight ends. I'm seeing if we can stack 3 games now. I want to see if we can stack 3 games for Brevin Spann-Ford, for Luke Schoonmaker. These kids are starting to get some confidence. You can see it in their play from a receiving standpoint, and I wouldn't go away from that. So I'm with you. If you're going to play the short, quick game, you got to include these guys, and both of them, because I think they both bring different things to the game. But I think Spann-Ford is better after the catch. I'd like to see him get going a little bit more. And I think Luke is just more comfortable as a tight end because he's kind of been doing it at a high clip for a longer time. So get those 2 guys involved in a short area game, then you get maybe a quick slant to a Turpin or an over route to a CD, or hand the ball off like they did last week, swing passes. I'm with you. Pack that game plan up, bring it here to Dallas.
No, I just hope that it got through TSA, right? Like, we didn't go through the airport. We walked to the tarmac. Yes, there's a TSA in the hangar, but we walked through the tarmac. Don't let that bag get lost between where you were and I don't know if you went to BWI or what airport you flew out of in Maryland and got back to Dallas. And again, I think it's even more so because you had a short week. You don't have time.
You can't really game plan. Yeah. You
don't have time to add a whole new game plan in. Like, let's take that, maybe tweak it here and there, but bring that with you. Take that wasn't I think you used the right word. Efficient game plan. That's good enough to beat the New York Football Giants. I do. I believe it is good enough to beat the Giants if you run it correctly. Now, it's always have to be, this safety may actually guard Luke Schoonmaker up the seam this time. You know what I'm saying? And maybe the pitch may not be. I don't know what it is, but I just thought that game plan for what you have as an offense, with your offensive lineman being down, you still having your backup quarterback, and a lot of things are kind of still shaky offensively. I thought that game plan was the smoothest of the three that we've seen so far with Cooper Rush at the helm.
One thing you really can't game plan for until you see it is speed. And Kevontae Turpin, 2 games in a row, has had the biggest play for the Cowboys. Obviously, one on that ridiculous press the B button spin on a kickoff, which sent everybody in Cowboys Nation going, what? This game is crazy, right? And then the week before, the 64, 67-yard slant where he ran the fastest anybody has ran since 2020. That leads me in, and boy, we've been struggling. I don't understand how I'm not hitting some of these. So my Underdog Fantasy pick. No, Jesse, because last week I thought for sure.
I know, I did too.
I'm like, come on, this is the one.
I thought too. Washington, Washington
what was that?
Completely duped us. They were nothing of what we thought they were. They completely duped us.
Now watch. What's my man's number 30? Now he got hurt, but watch. He have 120 receiving yards.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, because that's what happened.
I was like, Washington didn't even use him as a receiver. I was like,
bro.
What is going? I'm like, and of course, this is sidebar before you get into
no
that.
sack. It was just crazy, man.
Like, this was the part where sometimes you get a little bit pissed off at the fans that come at you. They're like, "Oh, you said." I'm like, bro, I know what I watched. Like, I know what I watched. I know what I watched, and I'm trusting my eyes. Just because they didn't do it against the Cat, oh, you made him sound like he was about to be the next. No. I said, I know what I watched.
Bro, he's like their third leading receiver.
Yeah, I'm like, well, yeah. They're like, oh, you made him sound like he was LT out the backfield. Dane Tyler. I said, brother, listen, man, I'm not arguing with y'all. I know what I saw on film.
It happened a few weeks before. We like, hey, man, Saquon about to go for 100 yards? Okay, yeah, give me the over. Didn't even use him. The next week, he gets $150.
Yeah, we got to that 255.
Like, come on, man.
I was like, wait. I said, Kellen Moore, Saquon has 66 rushing yards against us. I was like, what were you trying to prove? But I was like, listen, I'm not mad that he didn't go off on us, but I'm like, come on, y'all.
So here's all right. I'm including Turpin this week, but here's why. Turpin got a bonus. Turpin has one of those, if you hit, you win something along the lines of like 8 times your money, right? So Turp has scored a touchdown 2 weeks in a row. They have Turpin here, Jesse, higher or lower a rushing or receiving touchdown. I went with higher. I just feel like at the crib, he's in a flow. They can't keep ignoring, what he did in Houston, what he did on the kick return. I feel like he's going to get the ball. It doesn't take many opportunities. All it needs is like 3 or 4. I think he'll get one, Jesse.
Now, do they consider like a punt as a rush?
They don't. So
not a punt, not a kickoff.
It has to be on offense. Ooh. That makes it tough. That's why it's like it pays like 8 times higher.
And it makes it even more tough because you're inserting Brandon Cooks back in the lineup too.
Yeah.
Oh.
But see, look, like I said, it really what enticed me with this one was because it was you get paid like 8 times higher if I hit this.
Yeah, let's go for it.
I'm going with the higher on this one.
Higher. Let's go higher.
Cooper Rush, higher or lower, 203.5 passing yards. I got higher. And look, this is not. I think Underdog know what they're doing with this one. If you go look at the Giants, really sneaky pass defense. I don't know how, but this Giants pass defense I think is ranked in the top 10 in passing yards, 7th. Now, a lot of that could do with maybe because teams just don't pass on them that much because they are 32nd in yards per carry on the ground and 30th in rush yards. Yeah. So that'll be something to monitor, but I just can't fathom him not cracking 203 yards in 4 quarters of play. So I went higher.
Okay. Is there an ebb and flow to the game of Cooper Rush? Is it like down, bad, up, down, up? You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, here's the thing. He could have a bad game and still throw for 250. You know what I'm saying?
You can also have a bad game and throw for 49.
Well, damn, I forgot that happened in Philly. I'm gonna give him a mulligan. That did happen in Philly. That did happen in Philly or against Philly. So yeah. If you look at what happened in the last time they played at home,
I think he's found a rhythm. I think praying that CeeDee Lamb continues to stay healthy because he's playing hurt. CeeDee is another one of those guys who, and he said it this week. He said he's like, man, I'm hurting. He's like, I'm hurting bad, but I'm playing through it. So if CeeDee can stay in this game, I'll go more. I'll go higher.
Yeah, I got higher on this one. Then finally, as we switch to the other side of the ball here, Malik Neighbors, who's been in the news and the media for really all year, came out with some frustrations. The Malik Neighbors here, higher or lower, a rush or receiving touchdown?
Oh, higher.
Yeah,
higher.
Let me tell you why I said lower.
Oh,
yep. Malik Neighbors hasn't scored a touchdown since week 2.
Okay.
Now, odds would say at some point that breaks, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the Cowboys' pass defense is not that bad.
Okay.
It's when it comes to giving up tutties, it's not like teams are just throwing for 4 or 5 touchdowns to receivers on them regularly. You know what I mean? Tight ends is a different story. Big Dallas Goedert got one. Last week it was with Zach Ertz. I think got one on Dallas. But Malik Neighbors is a really damn good player too. And you can say, well, no Trayvon Diggs, but DeRon Bland's back, Jesse. So I feel like they know they're going to spam Malik, and he will get spammed. Maybe have 20 targets, but you just got to keep him out the end zone. So I got lower on this one, but this one I think is the most risky one because at some point, 6 games in a row, no touchdown. At some point, that's going to break.
And not only this, the last time he had a 100-yard game was against the Cowboys.
No touchdown though.
I know, no touchdown. He had 15 targets for the Cowboys. 15.
Yeah.
And and maybe this is just, I don't even know what to call it about me, but hell, we lived it. We've lived it as people who cover the Cowboys. When the receiver comes out and publicly talks about their lack of getting the football.
Yep.
Right? Like we seen that. 88 did that. Right? And what happened? For the next couple of weeks, that thing got fed to him like Thanksgiving ham, turkey, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, cat, dog, you name it.
Look at here.
Yeah, you look at here. And I think just Malik Neighbors feeling that way. Did we get a report on who's starting that quarterback? Did Tommy DeVito?
Yes, sir. It will be Drew Lock.
I don't know.
That's it.
I'm gonna have to go higher on that one.
I know that one's it. Yeah, Trust me and believe me. We're about to talk about that right now. So those are my picks. I got Kevontae Turpin scoring a touchdown. We're going to go on Skirpin. Cooper Rush going for over 203 yards, and Malik Neighbors not reaching the end zone in my Underdog Fantasy Game Day Pick'em, the #1 fantasy app. Make sure you use our code ATOZDALLAS when you sign up. They will match 100% of your deposit, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure y'all head on over there. Yes, that is the one, though, Jesse, that I'm struggling with because Drew Lock and who was it? Tommy DeVito. They weren't sure who was going to play, practice, whatever. Then word got out that Lock was getting first team reps earlier in this week because DeVito's still dealing with the injury. DeVito is inactive as a 3rd string quarterback, though. I have a feeling this is coming from players that are just fed up with a Tommy DeVito and they want to see better quarterback play. Drew Lock, he's a gamer. And that is the one thing that concerns me for my pick. For the game, you could argue there's a slight concern that he'll go out there and he'll game it up and he'll make this a tough game or whatever. But one thing Locke is going to do is he going to throw that thing. He's going to give not only his guy chances, but you chances. So you got to take advantage of that because he'll give you opportunities, but you also have to be careful. Be sound, assignment sound. Don't let a scary Terry situation hurt with a Malik Neighbors because Neighbors can go.
Yeah, man, that was all week long. I was like, man,
DeVito would have been easy,
DeVito would have been I would have felt much more confident that this game would have been won by the Cowboys with DeVito. But I just start taking in I start looking at factors because here's the thing: if you look at these two teams, they're kind of similar in where they're at this year, right? Like, both of their offensive lines are taking, dealing with a lot of injuries and some growing pains, backup quarterbacks. The running game has been inconsistent, even though Tracy's been kind of getting things going. Defensively is where they kind of have, all their stars at, like we do defensively. A lot of our stars on the defensive side of the ball. They have a stud wide receiver number one. We have a stud wide receiver number one. They have an okay tight end. We have an okay tight end. I mean, whether you want to say either Dexter Lawrence or Brian Burns or Kayvon Thibodeau towards our, Micah Parsons and Demarion Overshown. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of similar. Both their coaches are on the hot seat. Both of their front offices is an absolute hot mess. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is very similar into this. And then when you added Drew Lock into the mix, and I looked around, I said, man, the team was calling each other soft. And, Malik Neighbors is coming out there. Drew Lock felt slighted when they released Daniel Jones, because he's been the number 2 all year. And so when they jumped over him and went into full organic tank mode and went Tommy DeVito, he felt slighted. And, and then anybody that's getting rap Jeezy word for word.
I was just about to say.
I'm just saying there's something about that just sits in my spirit.
I don't want Drew Lock coming out with the boom box talking about something. Put on, not put on for my city. On for my city. He got a little swag in him, right? He got a little ish with him, So, man, that's going to be that. I was looking. Hey, make it fun, Drew. Make it fun, then. I think DeVito would have been boring, but Drew was going to add something to this.
And here's the thing about Drew. You can pick him off 3 times.
Yep. But he might throw 3 touchdowns, though. Yeah, he might throw 3 touchdowns. Like, he got that Jameis in him. He got that Jameis in him where he'll go 30 for 30. Like, you might get him twice, but he might get you twice. You know what I'm saying? Like, he ain't going to stop throwing the ball because he threw an interception. No.
Yeah, that he's not afraid of throwing an interception. So, interesting. Okay, yeah.
We kind of gloss over it quickly, but I want to get back to it. Tyrone Tracy is definitely one of the biggest names to watch on their offense. He's starting to put it. He got 300-yard games this season. He's averaging over 5 yards per carry. He has more 15-yard runs than your entire team combined. And this is a former receiver, so he can go the distance from anywhere on the field. So they got to be ready for, we said this last week about the other running back, but they got to be ready for the screens and the misdirection and getting him in space and things like that. So if you can stifle him a little bit and then you put the game on Drew Lock's shoulders and you say Micah and Demo and them boys, it's Thanksgiving. Go eat.
They have to. They have to be a major factor in this game, because if they can get pressure again, you can get the quarterback Drew Lock to do some very funny things that'll end in interceptions on the back end. But you got to go and get them. Stopping the run first. So don't just go hunting. Set your traps. First. Then when you get to the moment of trying to go hunt, go eat. Get full, get an interception, pick 6, jump in the kettle, do all that nonsense.
Let's do it all, man. All right, Cowboys Nation.
Look at
here. That has been the pregame show, Cowboy Game Day Live pregame show.
I got beans,
Jesse
greens,
Holley,
potatoes,
Skywalker
tomatoes,
Still. We'll see y'all
lamb,
at halftime.
I'm going to get that Holy Trinity, baby.
You name it.
We out of here. Peace.
I got beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, rams, hog, dog.